Have you ever wondered why some people radiate happiness despite all life's difficulties, while others remain unhappy even when they have everything they dream of? Today, we'll uncover the secrets of happiness philosophy and discover what truly makes us happy. Get ready for a journey that will change your understanding of life forever. Let's start with a simple question. What is happiness? It seems like everyone knows the answer, but philosophers have been debating this for millennia. Aristotle called happiness eudaimonia, a state of soul's well-being. He claimed that happiness isn't an emotion, but a way of life. It's not what we feel, but how we live. Imagine two people. The first is a millionaire living in a luxurious house but constantly worrying about money. The second is a teacher with a modest salary who goes to work with joy every day. Which one is happier? Modern science confirms ancient wisdom. Research shows that material well-being affects happiness only up to a certain level. After meeting basic needs, additional money doesn't bring significant increases in happiness. Neurobiologists have discovered that happy people have more activity in the left prefrontal cortex, the brain area responsible for positive emotions and motivation. Interestingly, this area can be trained like a muscle. Twin studies show that only 50% of our happiness is determined by genetics. 10% depends on circumstances, where we live, how much we earn, what we look like. And a whole 40% is determined by our conscious actions and choices. This is a revolutionary discovery. Almost half of our happiness is in our hands. We're not victims of circumstances or genetics. We're architects of our happiness. Positive psychologist Martin Seligman created a happiness formula. H equals S plus C plus V, where H is happiness, S is the genetically set happiness point, C is life conditions, V is voluntary activity. We can't change S and have little influence on C. But V is entirely in our hands. So what really makes us happy? The first factor is meaning in life. Viktor Frankl, who survived concentration camps, wrote, "Those who have a why to live can bear with almost anyhow. People who have found their purpose shine with a special light. They might work as janitors, but if they see meaning in creating cleanliness for others, they're happy." Meaning transforms work into calling. The Japanese call this ikigai, a reason to get out of bed in the morning. It's the intersection of what you love, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can be paid for. The second key to happiness is relationships with people. The Harvard study of happiness, running for 80 years, gives a clear answer. Quality relationships are the main predictor of a happy life. It's not the quantity of friends that determines our well-being, but the depth of connections. One true friend who understands and supports is worth hundreds of superficial social media acquaintances. The art of happy relationships includes active listening. When we truly hear another person, not preparing a response but immersing ourselves in their world, true intimacy is born. Empathy is the ability to put yourself in another's place, understand their feelings and experiences. Empathy doesn't mean agreeing with everything, but it means understanding. Gratitude in relationships works wonders. We often take loved ones for granted. Expressing appreciation for small cares strengthens bonds and creates an atmosphere of mutual respect. The ability to forgive is not weakness, but strength that frees us from the burden of resentment and allows relationships to develop. The third element of happiness is gratitude for life. This isn't just politeness, but a powerful tool for consciousness transformation. When we focus on what we have instead of what we lack, our perception of life changes dramatically. Imagine a person who writes down 3 things they're grateful for every morning. After a month, their brain literally rewires itself, starting to notice more positive things in life. The fourth principle is acceptance. Buddhist philosophy teaches that suffering arises from resistance to reality. We're unhappy not because of what happens, but because we want everything to be different. This doesn't mean passivity. Acceptance is the wisdom to distinguish what we can change from what we cannot. We accept the inevitable and actively work with what's within our power. The fifth element is development and growth. A person is happy when they feel progress. This could be learning a new language, mastering a musical instrument, or developing professional skills. Stagnation kills life's joy. We're created for growth, and when we stop, we begin to wither like a plant without water. The sixth principle is serving others. Albert Schweitzer said, "The only truly happy people are those who have found a way to serve others. When we help others, the same brain centers that activate during pleasure are triggered." Volunteering, helping neighbors, supporting colleagues. All this not only makes the world better, but fills our lives with deep satisfaction. The seventh element is presence in the moment. We often live either in the past, regretting what we've done, or in the future, worrying about what might happen. But happiness exists only here and now. Mindfulness practice teaches us to value the current moment. The taste of morning coffee, the warmth of sunbeams, a child's laughter, these are all sources of joy available right now. The eighth principle is physical health. The ancients said, "In a healthy body, a healthy spirit." Regular exercise, healthy eating, and adequate sleep create the biochemical foundation for happiness. Sleep is critically important for happiness. Chronic sleep deprivation affects mood more than a salary increase. Quality 7 to 8 hours of sleep is an investment in your happiness. Movement is a natural antidepressant. Even a 10-minute walk can improve mood for several hours. Find a type of activity that brings joy and make it part of your life. The ninth element is creativity. Humans are creative beings by nature. When we create something new, we connect with the very essence of our nature. Creativity isn't limited to art. Cooking dinner, arranging the house, solving work problems. Everything can become an act of creativity if approached consciously. The 10th principle is inner freedom. True happiness doesn't depend on external circumstances. It's a state of inner freedom when we're not slaves to our desires, fears, or circumstances. Stoics called this ataraxia, tranquility of soul. This isn't indifference, but a wise attitude toward life when we respond rather than react emotionally to what happens. It's important to understand, happiness isn't a constant state of euphoria. It's the ability to find joy and meaning in ordinary life, to accept difficulties as part of human experience. Now let's talk about what prevents us from being happy. The first enemy of happiness is comparison with others. Social media has turned this into a real epidemic. We look at perfect photos of other people and feel inadequate. Theodore Roosevelt said, "Comparison is the thief of joy." When we constantly compare our lives to others, we rob ourselves of the ability to appreciate our own achievements and moments of happiness. The second enemy of happiness is perfectionism. The pursuit of perfection seems like a virtue but often becomes a prison. Perfectionists are never satisfied with results, constantly postpone actions, and fear mistakes. Japanese philosophy of wabi-sabi teaches finding beauty in imperfection. A cracked cup repaired with gold becomes even more beautiful. Our flaws and mistakes aren't obstacles to happiness but part of our unique beauty. The third enemy is living on autopilot. We become so accustomed to routine that we stop noticing life. We get up, go to work, come home, go to sleep. Day after day, year after year. Happy people know how to interrupt autopilot. They take a new route to work, try an unfamiliar dish, start a conversation with a stranger. Small changes in routine awaken us to life. The fourth enemy is toxic relationships. We're social beings, and the people around us strongly influence our state. If you're surrounded by eternally dissatisfied, envious, or aggressive people, maintaining happiness becomes extremely difficult. The fifth enemy is living in the future. When I get promoted, I'll be happy. When I buy a house, then I'll live. When I retire, then I'll start enjoying life. Sound familiar? This trap is called arrival fallacy. We constantly postpone happiness for later, not noticing that life is happening right now. Now about practical tools of happiness. The first tool is a gratitude journal. Every evening, write down 3 things you're grateful for. Not just for health, but specifically, for my head not hurting today, for the store clerk's smile. Research shows that after just 2 weeks of this practice, people begin to notice more positive things in life. The brain literally rewires itself to search for good instead of bad. The second tool is loving kindness meditation. Start with yourself. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be at peace. Then extend these wishes to loved ones, acquaintances, strangers, and even those who are unpleasant to you. The third tool is the 5-minute rule. When you feel down, dedicate 5 minutes to something that's guaranteed to lift your mood. Listen to a favorite song, look at vacation photos, call a friend. The fourth tool is physical activity as medicine. Exercise is the most underrated antidepressant. When we move, the brain produces endorphins, serotonin, and dopamine happiness hormones. The fifth tool is digital detox. The modern world overloads us with information. News, social media, advertising create background stress. Spend 1 day a week without your phone. The sixth tool is rituals of joy. Create special moments in an ordinary day. Morning coffee in a beautiful cup, evening walk, Sunday breakfast in bed. Rituals create a sense of stability and anticipation. Let's talk about happiness at different life stages. In childhood, happiness was simple: a new toy, ice cream, playing with friends. We lived in the present moment and didn't think about tomorrow. In adolescence, happiness became complicated. Social comparisons appeared, first crushes, searching for oneself. This is a period when we learn that happiness isn't just pleasure. In youth, we often connect happiness with achievements. Getting into university, finding a job, starting a family. We think happiness is somewhere ahead, beyond the next goal. In maturity comes understanding. Happiness isn't in what we receive, but in what we give. We find joy in caring for children, helping parents, developing careers for family. In old age, happiness becomes deep and wise. It's gratitude for lived life, joy from communicating with grandchildren, peace from contemplating nature. Each age has its sources of happiness. Wisdom lies in not comparing them but appreciating what's available right now. Now about happiness in different cultures. Scandinavians invented the concept of lagom, just right. It's balance between too little and too much. Moderation as a path to sustainable happiness. The French speak of joie de vivre, joy of living. It's the ability to find pleasure in simple things. Conversation with a friend, a beautiful sunset, a good book. Danes invented the concept of hygge, cozy happiness. It's the art of creating an atmosphere of warmth and comfort in everyday life. Italians know what dolce vita means, sweet life. It's not luxury, but the ability to find pleasure in simple things. Family dinner, a walk in the square, conversation with a neighbor. Costa Ricans use the expression pura vida, pure life. It's a philosophy of optimism, acceptance, and joy from the very fact of existence. Let's talk about happiness at work. We spend a third of our lives at work, so it's important to find joy in professional activities too. The first principle of workplace happiness is autonomy. When we feel we control our activities, satisfaction grows. Even within rigid frameworks, you can find areas for creativity. The second principle is mastery. We're happy when we develop and become better at what we do. Constant learning and skill improvement brings deep satisfaction. The third principle is purpose. When we understand why we do our work, how it helps other people, any activity acquires meaning and becomes a source of happiness. Now about happiness and money in detail. Money affects happiness, but not as many think. Up to a certain income level, about $75,000 per year, additional money really does increase well-being. But after this point, the connection between income and happiness weakens. Why? Because other factors begin to operate. Adaptation to new living standards, social comparison, loss of time for relationships. A wise attitude toward money is spending it on experiences, not things. Travel, education, joint activities with loved ones bring more lasting happiness than buying new gadgets. It's also important to spend money on others. Research shows people feel happier when they buy a gift for a friend than when they spend the same amount on themselves. About happiness and time. Time is our most valuable resource, but we often use it unconsciously. Happy people know how to manage time according to their values. The Pareto principle works for happiness too. 20% of our activities bring 80% of joy. It's important to identify these 20% and focus on them. It's also important to learn to say no. Every yes to one thing is a no to another. If we agree to things that don't bring joy, we steal time from what could make us happy. An important point: happiness is contagious. Research shows that a person's happiness affects the happiness of people within 3 levels of social connections. Your happiness affects friends, their friends, and their friends' friends. This means that by working on your happiness, you make the world better. Every smile, every kind word, every act of generosity creates waves of positivity, extending far beyond your vision. But remember, the path to happiness isn't always easy. There will be days when everything goes wrong. This is normal. Happiness doesn't mean absence of problems. It's the ability to maintain inner light even in darkness. As the Dalai Lama said, happiness is not a ready-made state. It comes from your own actions. Every day we choose how to react to life. This choice is our power. In conclusion, I want to share an ancient parable. An old man was planting date trees. A passerby asked, "Why? The fruits will appear only after many years, and you might not see them." The old man replied, "Others planted trees for me, now I plant for others." Happiness is like these trees. We plant seeds of kindness, gratitude, love not only for ourselves but for future generations. Our happiness today is the fruit of someone's kindness yesterday and the seed of someone's happiness tomorrow. All cultural approaches share one thing: happiness isn't a destination but a way of traveling. It's not what we achieve, but how we live each day. Remember, happiness doesn't come to those who wait for it. It's born in the hearts of those who create it. Every day, every minute we choose how to relate to life. Happiness doesn't require perfect conditions. It flourishes where it's cultivated with love and patience. And this garden can be in your heart today. You deserve happiness not because you've done something, but simply because you exist. Your happiness is a gift to the world because happy people make the world better. Start right now. Find one thing you can be grateful for. Call a friend you haven't seen in a long time. Do something for another person. Engage in what brings joy. Remember, every new day is an opportunity to become a little happier. So, we've taken an amazing journey through the philosophy of happiness. We've traveled from ancient sages to modern research. We've learned about 10 principles of happiness, 6 practical tools, and 5 enemies of happiness. We've talked about how happiness manifests at different ages and cultures. We've studied the connection between happiness and work, money, time, and health. Remember, happiness isn't chance, but choice. The choice of how we think, how we relate to people, how we live each day. If this video changed your view of life, hit like and subscribe. Write in the comments which principle of happiness resonates with you most and which practice you'll try today. And remember, your happiness begins right now.